good morning and thank you for tuning in to ET Now's Buy Now Sell Now with me Adhiraj Singh and Shell D'Souza. Good morning, Shell. As I can see, luckily there are no Monday blues on the market. Sensex up by 1%, Nifty above the 17,900 mark, which is led by IT, banks and financials. What are you picking up?
Absolutely, and no Monday blues on the Dalal Street at least, and it's a good sign actually, healthy sign. We are at the end of the month of October, going to kickstart the month of November from tomorrow onwards, and yes, we look like we're going to end this month at least with the green on the screen for the Dalal Street. If you look at the way how the benchmarks are trading, like there are almost a 1% gain coming in for the benchmark indices in today's trading session. If you look at the list of losers this morning, only 5 or rather 6 now. You have ICICI Bank that's barely moved in the negative territory. So you at least have 5 to 6 stocks on the Nifty 50 that are in the negative territory as we speak. But on the flip side is the auto pack that are ruling the charts. Remember, Maruti Suzuki was stellar performance. It had showcased on Friday. 5% uptick had come in for Maruti Suzuki, and today as well you can see it on your screen. 2% uptick coming in for Maruti. You have M&M, that is the top gainer on the Nifty as we speak. 3% uptick coming in for Mahindra & Mahindra. On the other side, you have Sun Pharma, that is among the top gainers as well. Almost a 3% uptick coming in for Sun Pharma. You have Grasim, that's holding on to gains of about 2%. And just below that, you have Ultratech, that's seeing gains of about 2% as well. Bajaj Finance also seeing good strength in today's trading session. However, if you look at Nifty Bank, it is actually tad bit underperforming the benchmark indices. While the benchmarks are up by about 1% or so, you have Nifty Bank that is trading higher by about 0.5% as we speak. Talking about sectoral indices, no point for guessing it right is the fact that all the sectoral indices are in the positive territory this morning, led by the auto index that's seeing gains of about 1.7%. You have IT index that's seeing gains of about 1% as we speak. You also have good gains coming in on the pharma index. You have mid cap also that's holding on to good strength in today's trading session. Let me talk about certain sectors or stocks that you need to know of. Yes, take a look at what is happening to Gland Pharma. 10% downtick coming in for that particular counter. You saw it actually be thrashed even on Friday on back of its earnings. So you have Gland Pharma that's seeing that downtick. You have Bandhan Bank also that's reacting to its earnings, but you also have a downgrade that's coming in, or I believe a target cut that has come in for Bandhan Bank. Therefore, you're seeing that sort of a reaction come in on that particular counter. You have Goldman Sachs that has cut its rating on Bandhan Bank, and there you go. Bandhan Bank seeing a downtick of as much as 9% as we speak, declining for a second session in a row. Like I mentioned, Gland Pharma has fallen to the lowest level in about 23 months on back of this. But you know, Adhiraj, what was amazing and what was a point to note is the fact that on Friday, or rather last week, you saw Nifty PSU Bank. That was the one that was outperforming the benchmark indices, and how we've seen a lot of these counters also perch at a fresh record high levels. No doubt today the performance in Nifty PSU Bank is a bit subdued, but last week it saw an uptick of about 5%. So let's bring on board our guest for today. We have Sharmila Joshi as well as Kunal Bothra, who will be joining us shortly on the show, and let's talk about what are the prospects for the PSU banking index, where do we see this headed, and most importantly, what are the triggers for such great rally. So Sharmila, good morning to you. A very happy new year, because we did not meet last week. PSU Bank Index, it's been outperforming the benchmarks, and not just the benchmark, even the Nifty Bank and the private banking space. What exactly is happening in that space? What's fueling this rally, and what are your expectations and topics?
Yes, so clearly we've seen quite a lot of fancy for banks as a whole, and in particular, I think after a long time we've heard people say good things about PSU banks, and I think the reason is very clear. If you look at the numbers, you do find that there is an improvement on asset quality, and I think that was the biggest concern for banking space, especially the PSU banking space, because they do lend to the core sector, and that's where a lot of pain is. Whether it is projects in steel, or whether it's in oil and gas, construction, etc. So that's the space that was under stress in terms of NPAs and loans not going through, coming good for the banks, etc. And we've seen an improvement in the cleanup. It seems is almost done, and which is why we have seen the stock prices react very, very favorably to that. And I think even at the current price levels, if you look at a lot of the PSU banks, they are trading below their book values. So if you were to even do one-time book value, there is a significant upside left in banks. My only feeling is that since we've seen such a great recovery, and when you hear the commentary from the managements of a lot of the PSU banking space, then you get a sense that perhaps there could be little niggling worries here and there, and the asset quality concerns may not be completely behind us, though we do seem to be out of the woods, and stock prices have gone up. So just taking these things together, I feel it might be a little bit prudent to be a little cautious at this level and just to hold back fresh buying. But definitely, I think wait for another quarter of numbers so that you get a sense that this recovery is well and truly done, and things are looking, the right things that need to fire growth going ahead, credit growth, etc. Those are the factors that I would look to see in the next quarter numbers to see if that's playing out well. Because the NPA worries seem to be behind us, but is the growth coming in the right on the right parameters? And then I think you can take a call, because then there is a significant upside left in these stocks still. So just because the stocks have run up, I'm a little cautious at this level of buying at these levels, and I'd wait to see another quarter number.
Right. A very good morning, Sharmila. On this account, I'm also getting Kunal in. Kunal, you tell me now, is it time we finally start betting on PSU banks? How do you decode this?
So I think we would continue to bet on PSU banking names, but the question over here is that whether the PSU banking rally is now overheated and whether the index is getting back into an overbought zone. At least on the charts, it doesn't look like, because most of the indicators, and specifically the trending momentum indicator for the PSU banking index, is nowhere close to its overbought territory, somewhere which we've seen last so many years for the stock price, for the PSU banking index as such. And that's what I believe, that till the time the index is not at any kind of an overbought territory, there could be a chance that this rally may continue for the PSU banking index. We also look at in this manner that the index is not rallying on the back of just one or two stronger names outperforming. It's an entire broad-based team. The F&O stocks, non-F&O stocks, large cap, mid cap, small caps, all of them are performing very well. So I think that's also one of the reasons why I would believe that this rally would sustain for the PSU banking names.
Right. And on that note, stay with us. We'll slip into a very short break. Coming back with your queries.
Co-powered by OLX Autos.
Sensex is up more than 400 points.
Management is now with us. Overvaluation case for the
at 17K.
Watch the opening show from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. ET Now. Break free.
When you are India's most experienced market anchor, you don't just ask the right questions, you make statements.
With each passing day, this market is becoming better, and with each passing day, this market is only telling you that if you've participated on every decline, you've actually made money. If the normalization in the world will happen, demand, which in a sense got destroyed, will automatically make a comeback.
When you believe in India's growth story, you will be known for your acumen.
Long haul FII, who looks at India as still a promised land for a consumption and for a growth revival destination, that pretty much is in the game. This crisis has surprised, I would say delighted, and has given birth to a new cult culture, both locally and globally.
Nikunj Dalmia, only on ET Now.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Markets at Noon. Midway through the trading day, we help you catch all the trading action
and get the bigger picture of the equity markets.
We help you screen through all the clutter and get you research insights.
Master the market sentiment during the most active trading hour of the day.
Get exceptional winning strategies from our technical analysts as well as expert views coming in from the market makers. Catch Markets at Noon every trading day only on ET Now.
Rakesh Junwala wants to go easy on trading. He does not want to trade as aggressively as he did, let's say,
I have felt that for the last 25 years, कि क्या करो अभी छोड़ दो ट्रेडिंग में, वो छुट्टी नहीं।
Once a trader, always a trader. Rakesh Jhunjhunwala is a very quick decision maker. Some of our common friends tell me that you take a decision to invest millions in 10 minutes. You don't take hours, you take minutes. How does it work?
You got to catch the vital points. And second thing, remember you know, I want analysis paralysis. You're investing in a future which is uncertain. You cannot predict it beyond a point.
In individual sectors.
What's the sense that you're getting on volume growth? Just clarify this entire case. What is it going to mean for the business? What else are you looking at?
It was clearly one of the biggest deals.
Here, ET now have been getting you bit by bit.
Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now Sell Now on ET Now, as this is the show where we get you your stock queries answered from our team of experts. And today, talking about experts, we have Kunal Bothra as well as Sharmila Joshi, both of them joining live on ET Now. But before we kickstart with taking your queries, Sharmila, let me come to you. And let's talk about the way how the market setup has been of late, marred with a lot of global volatility. And yes, that's reflected back on our Indian markets as well. No doubt, we are trying to actually scale towards the record high levels once again, at least when you talk about the Nifty. But in this circumstances, on this sort of a scenario, how can one protect their wealth? How should retail investors protect their wealth?
Also, I think not really chase stocks, because you know what we see time and again in this market is that the trend is very uncertain, and while domestic money flow is what is keeping us on a very steady sort of a wicket, and we haven't really we've pretty much outperformed a lot of markets globally, and that has been because domestic flows have been very strong. So which is why I think you need to be on the buying side of the market, and you need to believe in the domestic story and buy. But at the same time, I would advise people that do an SIP in stocks and try and buy on dips. So, you know, unless, for instance, the trend is very clear, it gets very clear that we are now in a bull market and we are moving higher, I think it makes much better sense to be a little prudent and wait for the corrections in the market to buy the stocks that you like. And I think there are a whole host of stories and stocks that could be on your buying list, given, you know, the way the numbers have played out. What we're expecting going ahead. So I think that list is pretty big, but just wait for the right levels to buy. For instance, I think even in this week, while we are trending going higher, I think it might make sense to wait for the Fed meeting and then wait for our own MPC meeting, because we have suddenly announced a meeting out of turn, and we don't know what really is the purpose. One could also, I mean, you know, one obvious thing could be they just want to give an answer to the government regarding the inflation target, etc. But you know, the timing of the meeting, that is just after the Fed meeting, though it could be a coincidence. If there is any negative surprise thrown in the Fed meeting, would the MPC then use this meeting, which they've called in any case, to increase rates or to protect the rupee or whatever? So, you know, those concerns are there. So I would really just wait till the end of the week to really make any fresh purchases. But having said that, I'm positive about it.
All right, so that's the view coming in on Sharmila, and very pertinent points made by her on how one should look to invest in the market. What sort of strategy should you be using given the current volatility in the markets. But let me get started with the query segment then. And like I mentioned, this is the show where we get you all your stock queries answered. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, as well as on Twitter. So do write into us. Mention your name, the stock that you are asking your query on. Also mention the time horizon that you're looking to invest in a particular counter. And if you've already invested, then don't forget to mention your buy price as well as the quantity and the time horizon. And we are also, you can write into us on our WhatsApp number that's flashing on the top of your screen as well. So let me get going with this first query that I've got from Mr. Surana. And Kunal, this one is specifically for you. There's a lot of news floating around how government is trying to revive LIC stock price movement, various sort of reforms or strategy that they're going to adopt for LIC. It's all source-based, report-based information. But what he's asking is, will we see near-term bounce back in LIC? What sort of a level should one keep in mind for LIC in the near term?
So I think it's interesting because, from the point of listing, of course, LIC has been a stock which has gone through a grind from 900 levels to now. I think last week or so the stock was sub 600 levels. Today it's seeing a marginal bit of a bounce just about the 600 mark. Ideally, in such scenarios, when the stock is actually going into a downward trend, it's far more better that you wait for that first strong bounce back where the stock manages to break past above a resistance. See, we would always want to buy a stock which is, in the stronger hands of bulls rather than a stock which is actually into the stronger hands of bears. Now, in this case, the bearish trends for LIC is far more stronger. So we wait out for a point where there has been there's a stronger bounce back that could probably happen if the stock crosses that 650 mark, which coincidentally is just exactly at the 50-day moving average for LIC, or maybe just about that 680 mark, which was the previous major price resistance for the stock. So unless both these levels are taken out, I would suggest to avoid the stock as of now, because if the stock keeps on falling, these levels of resistances would keep on falling with the prices as well.
Right. Thank you, Kunal. Good morning, Sharmila. Coming to you now. Colonel Narendra Singh is writing to us from Pune. He's asking for your advice on one defense stock that he should buy for long term of 3 years. And he's saying kindly do not include BEL or HAL.
Because my choice would have been HAL, but since the investor is categoric that I can't include HAL, because I think there the story is really strong. I think another stock that could be looked at is BELL. I think that given the kind of story that's building around defense and the kind of orders that the government has given, as well as the export opportunities that are opening, I think BEML could be a stock that could be looked at. My target would be closer to 1800 on this stock, and yeah, I think that's a stock that you could buy.
It's coming from Vimla George, and she wants to also know which is a better stock to buy at current levels. With this one, she's mentioned Masco and Dock or ABFRL for a period of 1 year. Kunal, two diverse sector. One is from the defense space and one is from the retail segment. Which one do you think is a better suited one for a 1 year gain?
So, of course, both these stocks charts have been very, very strong. But if I have to pick and choose one out of the two distinct or diverse sectoral picks, then I would go for ABFRL, purely based on the fact that the stock has been going through very slow and a steady and a gradual uptrend. So, stocks like Masco, Dock, GRSC, etc., these stocks have gone through a very strong spiky up move for themselves, if I can use that word. But for ABFRL, the stock has been going through a very gradual and a consistent price uptrend, breaking past earlier first 300 mark and now I think about the 350 levels for ABFRL. So this consistency of price breakout is what I would probably back and would suggest about ABFRL if you're looking at a choice between both of these stocks.
Right. Kunal, coming to you now. Narayan's writing to us from Bangalore, has 1,000 shares of Ashok Leyland at an average buy price of 1,151. My bad. Kindly suggest if he can hold on. He bought them with a view of 1 month.
See, you can continue to hold on, but I would probably not be extremely bullish on the stock. It's a stock which has struggled to break out of major resistances time and again. The beta nature of the stock is also very low. Now, by that, what it generally indicates that if the stock fails to participate in the best of the market trends or in the best of the sector trends, then you have to lower your targets significantly. So if your targets earlier was say 160, 165 for Ashok Leyland, then that has to drop down to maybe 158, 160 for the stock price. So you can continue to hold on, but I would not be extremely bullish on the stock. just based on these, statistical facts which I've, mentioned earlier, I would believe 158 to 160 could be a best target range for the stock price.
Right. This next one that I have is coming in from actually a lot of short-term queries. So let me just take a long-term one. And this one is coming from Swayam. And this one is for you, Sharmila. CRISIL is the counter that he wants to ask your view on. He's already holding 200 shares at a price of 3,250 rupees per share. Now he wants to know whether it makes sense to continue to hold on to it for the longer term. How are the prospects looking for CRISIL?
So this is a stock that neutral on, but I think he can continue to hold because perhaps he could get that 3,200 price point that he's bought at. The results this last quarter were fairly good, and overall the trend will be to sort of get a credit rating for any paper that is floated. So I think that business stream will be steady. So which is why I think that he can continue to hold the stock. So from a longer term perspective, it's a hold.
Kunal, coming to you now. Vivek is writing to us from Delhi. Holding Maruti 50 shares at 8,200. Should he exit or re-enter at a lower price is what he's asking.
No, I think why do you need to exit the stock which has just recently given a breakout? Maruti has been, I think, a stock which has languished quite a lot, I think, as compared to most of the other peers. And it's just that from last week onwards is where the stock has given a breakout. There could be a very strong catch-up with respect to many of the most of the other peers. Now, and you have to look at this in terms of very slow, steady, and a gradual trailing of stop loss. For example, 10,000, 10,200 is what you can look out for an immediate target. Trail your stop loss is higher, and then keep on riding the uptrend for Maruti.
All right, this next question that I have is actually coming in from Sumit, and he wants to know whether he should invest in Birlasoft or Mphasis for a period of 5 years. Sharmila, do you think that these are good picks right now to look at fundamentally, Mphasis or Birlasoft, given the fact what is happening with the IT sector? No doubt global IT sector have seen a sharp sell-off, but do you think Indian IT, mid-cap IT, safer bet?
Very good question, especially because you're talking of a 5-year sort of a view. Because very honestly, I do think that this is not the kind of market where you can be really so sanguine and say that I'm investing in any stock for that matter for 5 years. So I think that first of all, that's one thing that you need to get clear, that you need to sort of revisit your stock at least a 6-month kind of a time period, especially a mid-cap IT, because you need to see what happens with mid-cap IT is it's a sort of a niche play, and their verticals could sort of lose relevance over a period of time. And if the business, if the company has moved into some other business stream which is equally good or which is better, then I think a 5-year kind of horizon makes sense. So we've already seen a sort of a PE correction across the mid-cap IT space. Between the two stocks, I do prefer a Birlasoft because there, as I'm saying, I to my mind, the kind of verticals that they are in and the possibilities for business traction going ahead seems more attractive. And even after the big correction that we've seen across mid-cap IT, I do think that at these valuations, Birlasoft looks okay. Having said all that, once again, do an SIP. There are concerns. I think, this hard landing, soft landing that we keep hearing of in the US, and this situation across UK, Europe, getting compounded over this last year with really no seeming end in sight, that does sort of make things sort of not so great for a lot of these mid-cap IT plays. But having said all that, I think that it has now come to levels that you can look to start buying. But as I said, please do revisit the stock every 6 months or once a year, and then do an SIP in Birlasoft.
Right. Dr. Siddharth Pandit is writing to us. Sharmila, this one's for you. IDFC First Bank bought a 30 average into 15,000 for a long term. He's asking for your advice.
The stock even at this level, and we spoke of banks a little while earlier. And if you look at what's happening, those were PSU banks. If you look at what's happening in private banks, this quarter we did see a result from, say, for instance, a bank like Axis Bank, which is probably the best results, best kind of numbers that I've seen from them in a really long time. and that sort of kind of warranted re-rating in the stock. Similarly, for IDFC First Bank, I think it's been through its share of troubles, their legacy issues with their corporate loans, etc. But now I think if you look at the numbers, you do get a sense that they are sort of delivering better than what market is expecting. Their credit growth is good. Their loan book has sort of shifted to players where you can expect asset quality to remain good. Their return on assets is a ratio they've been working on actively. That's getting better. So my first target would be closer to 65. Having said that, I'm fairly positive on the stock, and I think if the management meets the kind of targets that they are talking of, there could be a further upside. So I think definitely stay invested.
All right. So on that note, we'll actually slip into a break on this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now. Hang in there, Harsh and Santi, because I know you have asked questions on Gland Pharma, and right after the break, we will be coming back with that query on Gland Pharma. Especially, we will tell you what's happening with Gland Pharma and why such a fall. So stay tuned.
The voice that instills trust.
My experience, based on what I've done in the last 20 years, these are the times where you don't panic, and if you stay committed to your financial planning, you will be rewarded. The bulls are saying, look, this is markets which are telling you that the future will be much brighter than what the past was.
The voice that commands respect.
You should remember that every bull market is higher than the last one.
The voice that is always ahead of the curve.
Maybe later this summer, I'll buy more gold and silver.
Domestic is already at 60% capacity and going towards 80%, but we need more growth in international.
The voice that does not falter.
How do you convert this crisis into an opportunity? We will become stronger. We will survive this storm. With each passing day, this market is only telling you that if you've participated on every decline, you've actually made money.
Catch India's most experienced market anchor, Nikunj Dalmia, only on ET Now.
The rupee depreciation is only helping further that the seller of that commodity in India benefits.
Speculation is as old as the hill. We started off the correction with the scare of interest rates rising.
I don't think the sanctions go away within a couple of weeks. They will stay for some more time.
For anybody who has a 3 years time frame, I think next 6 months would give good entry points.
I think from a medium to long-term perspective, I think we should still be fine even from here.
Now things are exactly as what you had shared with us. We are staring at India like never before.
Absolutely. And people are not realizing it. I wish every Indian felt that. But time is that, नास्तिक है उसको आस्तिक मत बनाओ, समय बना देगा.
For an SIP investor, next 2-3 years, is there a probability and a possibility of a double-digit return?
And although difficult to predict, return will be more than 10 lakh.
Nikunj, you are a very seasoned market observer, and therefore you may hit the nail on the head.
I think you have always kept the focus on the retail investor, and I think it's again a very apt, very good question.
Nikunj, first of all, thank you so much. You are one person I've always enjoyed interacting throughout last 15-20 years.
Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now. And before we actually went into that break, we spoke about Gland Pharma. And as you can see, the counter steep fall that it is witnessing right now, it's actually recovered a very tiny bit from the day's lowest point. But nevertheless, Gland Pharma has been seeing a sharp knock. It is actually near its lowest levels in 23 months. You also saw the stock fall on Friday as well. But what has been impacting this particular decline in the counter? Remember that their Q2 numbers, if you look at it, they deviated from the estimate by approximately over 10% on the sales and EBITDA front. Their new launches contribution was much lower than expectations. You saw erosion in generic Almeta and generic Valseed post the patent expiry in the United States. Talking about the gross margins and the EBITDA margins, they declined on a year-on-year basis. Also, the EBITDA margin was impacted on higher overheads as well. And also you see the stock price, they've been impacted by price erosions in the United States as well. Management has not provided for an updated guidance irrespective of what exactly is happening globally and with the sector and the company as well. So we've seen a cut in the FY 23, 24 as well 25 EBITDA margins estimates by various brokerage houses. Earnings estimates also for all of these years have been slashed. So you're seeing all of that actually trickle down to the stock price. And like I mentioned, I will be taking your queries particularly on Gland Pharma, and I'll try to get the views from both of our experts, Kunal as well as Sharmila. So let me talk about the queries that I've got particularly on Gland Pharma. I've got one query coming in from Harsh, and what Harsh is saying that he's bought Gland Pharma at 2,000 rupees per share. He's saying after analyzing its fundamentals in the long term for 5 to 7 years. But do you think that the fundamentals are intact as of now, Sharmila? And we also have Santi, who's written to us on Gland Pharma itself, saying that he's holding 29 shares, purchased at 1,965 rupees per share. He's saying the stock has been falling. One, he wants to know why is there more than 25% fall in the counter, and is it good to add some more at current prices, and is it a good bet for the longer term? So Sharmila, over to you. Harsh and Santi both have Gland Pharma, both thought that it was really a good company on fundamental basis. Do you think the fundamentals are still intact?
Well, I thought it was a good company on the basis of fundamentals, and at that time when you were trying to look for new stocks to invest in the pharma space, there were two new listings. One was Laurus Labs and one was Gland Pharma. Among the newer companies, and those were sort of the stories that even I had liked at that point in time. But unfortunately, things have gone awry for Gland Pharma. I think you spoke extensively about the numbers and the kind of pressures that they're getting from the US. Also, I think I will add two more things to that, in the sense that there is some sort of a rumor doing the rounds that their Chinese promoter might exit the stock. So that sort of added further to the selling that we've seen. And even if you look at like a technical factor, like the kind of volumes that the stock has seen over the last 4 or 5 days, we've seen much increased volumes, and there does seem to be some kind of a sell-off that we seem to be in the midst of. So I think when you couple both these factors, that there are rumors, the numbers are not bad, as well as the fact that pharma as a space is seeing a bit of a slowdown after the kind of resurgence that and interest that we saw in the COVID period, because everybody's focus was on pharma as a space, and we've seen sort of increased concerns coming from US price erosion, which is impacting a lot of stocks in the pharma space, not just Gland Pharma. So I think if you put all these facts together, I think it's best to just exit. And if you want to stay in pharma, I would Sun Pharma would be my stock of choice, but Sun Pharma or a Dr. Reddy's or something like that, rather than being invested in Gland Pharma.
Sun Pharma or Dr. Reddy is a better play in the pharma space, is what Sharmila has to say, and it's better to exit this particular position. But Kunal, do you also concur with that view? Are the charts indicating the same thing, that it's time to exit Gland Pharma, or do you think that one can take this dip as a buying opportunity or a opportunity to average the counter?
See, I would believe that the last 3 or 4 days, the sell-off has been very, very accentuated for Gland Pharma. But then when we look out for the stock in terms of indicators, the RSI, for example, on the daily charts have just about entered into the oversold territory, which means possibly in the next 1 week, you could probably see the stock stabilizing, maybe just around that 1700 mark as such. So I would believe that from a near-term play, the stock could be ready for a bounce as such. But more from a medium to long-term play, the stock would be some distance away from showing signs of bottoming out. I would believe that one has to wait and watch over here. If you're a longer-term investor, not just because the prices have fallen, could be a good buy level, but if the prices manage to show signs of recovery and strength, say over the next couple of weeks or maybe in the next 1 to 2 months, that could be a good opportunity to buy Gland Pharma back again. So as of now, keeping the view very, very short-term oriented, and the indicators are just about entering into the oversold territory for the stock.
Right. Sharmila, coming to you for this one. Kriti Manek is writing to us. She's holding IDFC First Bank, 50k shares at an average of 60 rupees per share. Now she wants you to tell her where it can be reasonable to expect it to double about to 120 in the next 2 years.
I'm positive, but I'm not sticking my neck out and really talking of doubling, etc. But I think the kind of trajectory that they are on, if they deliver the kind of numbers that I'm expecting, I think there is decent money to be made from current levels of 56. So I think she needs to continue holding the stock that she has.
Continue holding IDFC First is the take coming in from Sharmila. But let me take the next query then, and this one is coming from Hemanta. Kunal, this one is for you. Prince Pipes 50 shares purchase of 580 rupees per share, saying that the stock is going down day after day. What should he do? Exit or continue to hold on to it?
I think you should, as of now, hold on to it. I'm not sure what's the time frame which you're looking out for, but then purely on the short-term basis, the indicators have come back into an oversold territory. Now this process of bottom formation could probably take maybe another 1 to 2 months for the stock, but then the selling intensity I think should abate for Prince Pipes from current levels. So I think if you are in for say the long-term kind of a view, and if you're looking to maybe average the stock, then this could be a good starting point at 520 odd for Prince Pipes, and possibly another 10% down is where you should look to average further. So 500 plus or minus 20 odd rupees could be a good zone where I believe that the stock should try and spend a lot of time over the next 1 to 2 months, and that could be a good point where you can look to average.
Right. Kunal, this one's for you. TP Vinod is writing from Tamil Nadu. He's asking, between Wipro, Tech Mahindra and HCL, which one should he choose for a short term?
See, I would go for HCL Tech. I think that's been my preferred stock at least over the last 2 weeks. And I specifically mentioned that HCL Tech could be one of the first stocks which can actually break past about the 200-day moving average from the basket of the large cap IT names. So I think the stock has already given a breakout today on the 200-day moving average for itself. So which means that the stock is more stronger in terms of price trends. So if you're looking out for betting the the stock from the IT pack and the 3 names that you mentioned, I would go with the best performer out of the 3 names. That's HCL Tech. Okay,
Hemant is written to us, and he's asking about Jubilant Foodworks. Sharmila, he's purchased some shares at 600 rupees per share. Now he wants to know whether it's the best bet in the QSR space, or should he look at some other counter altogether?
I think it's best in the QSR space. There are another couple of stocks there, but overall I prefer the story of Jubilant Foods. The concern for Jubilant Foods has been the fact that they do generate a lot of free cash flow, but the new acquisitions that they made didn't exactly pan out the way they had envisaged. So while their core business, which is Domino's, is of course doing well, their new investments didn't do as well. But the newest investment that they have made, that has shown fairly good signs in early days. So that would be a factor that I would track, and I think their, as I said, their Domino's business is doing well. So I think yes, continue to stay invested.
Right. Coming to you again, Sharmila. Aarti is writing to us, 500 shares of Jubilant Ingrevia bought at 400. Should she hold on for the long term or not? Or should she add more is what she's asking.
This is Jubilant Engineering.
Yes.
Yes, I think you can continue to hold what you have. I think the numbers have been fairly decent. It may not go up in a hurry, but it's a fairly decent stock. Continue to.
All right. This next one that I have is coming in from Satya CK, but he wants a view on HDFC Life for short to medium term. Though he has actually directed this question to you, Sharmila, I'll take it to Kunal. And Kunal, HDFC Life, he has some shares purchased at 568 rupees per share. What should he do?
So you can continue to hold on. I think the stock is already going through a time-wise correction since last 7-8 months. I think from March 2022, when the stock entered into this 500, 550 kind of a trading range, it's been consolidating as such in this band. So I would believe that possibly we could be nearing the end of consolidation for HDFC Life. And since your buy price is just about very close to the current market price of the stock, I would suggest to hold.
Right. Radhika is writing to us from Delhi. Kunal, this one's for you. She's asking about HCL Tech. She's asking for a short-term perspective.
So I would be bullish on the stock. My earlier targets were just about the 1040-44 mark for HCL Tech on the spot levels. The stock seems to have touched those levels today. I would now believe that possibly from a near term you can up the targets slightly higher to maybe 1080 for HCL Tech. So if you're in for a very short term play, then 1080 could be a target for HCL Tech, and you can be looking out for maybe 1010-15 as a stop loss for this trade.
Okay, this next question is coming from Jaya Krishnan. A medium-term query on ITC. 278 is the buy price, Kunal. And can he add some more at these levels for the medium term? I can't stop smiling every time I say ITC, given the fact that, yes, rooftop screaming that you and Rajesh had done for this particular counter. But do you think now also is the time to buy it, given that the rally has been astonishing for ITC?
See, I think it's always good to have a stock which is performing from a large cap name in terms of your portfolio. But then you always have to remember that you also have to buy the stock at an apt price. So even if it's averaging, you have to buy the stock. You can't buy the stock just because it's rallying up higher and you're expecting the stock to continue to rally up higher. So you have to wait for those silent periods or those periods of correction post a rally where the stock corrects and comes back towards a mean reversion point. That could be a classical point to buy ITC. So my view would still be very bullish on the stock from a medium to long term play, but the current price of 347, 350 could be a bit far-fetched from a short term. I would suggest that you should look to average if the stock comes closer to 330 mark or slightly below that.
All right, and with that, let's actually slip into break on this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now. When we come back, we will be back with your queries. Remember that this is a good Monday, no Monday blues on D Street, and we will continue taking your queries after the break as well, so stay tuned.
Problem on coming on your channel is that you already know everything. I just heard your introduction. And what can anybody add to that?
It's not always about buy, sell or profit loss.
After a gap down start, there is no buying.
It's about making you market ready with insights from the foremost market anchors.
Stocks open sharply. The Nifty Bank Index is down. Momentum has in fact come into the market.
And the views from top-notch technical analysts. Join them talking business, markets and earnings every trading day from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. only on ET Now.
It's the daily grind that gets me going. Beating myself over the details. The tiny bits, the nuggets you tuck away. Somewhere you spot smoke and you look for the fire. At the end of the day, you don't want the froth. You want to skim the foam. And get your caffeine kick in a way that it hits that sweet spot. Yeah, just like a good cup of coffee. A real story with all the right elements that connects all the dots does not come in an instant. I'm Vikram Oza. Join me on ET Now.
Start your trading day with non-stop updates and uninterrupted trading ideas to power up your portfolio with unmatched experience and analysis from our market experts.
In the market, right here on ET Now with
trying to make a comeback. It's a smart start.
Sensex is up more than 400 points.
Management is now with us. Overvaluation case.
See that 17K.
Watch the opening show from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. ET Now. Break free.
When you are India's most experienced market anchor, you don't just ask the right questions, you make statements.
With each passing day, this market is becoming better, and with each passing day, this market is only telling you that if you've participated on every decline, you've actually made money. If the normalization in the world will happen, demand, which in a sense got destroyed, will automatically make a comeback.
When you believe in India's growth story, you will be known for your acumen.
The long-haul FII who looks at India as still a promised land for consumption and for a growth revival destination, that pretty much is in the game. This crisis has surprised, I would say delighted, and has given birth to a new cult culture, both locally and globally.
Nikunj Dalmia, only on ET Now.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Markets at Noon. Midway through the trading day, we help you catch all the trading action
and get the bigger picture of the equity markets.
We help you screen through all the clutter and get you research insights.
Master the market sentiment during the most active trading hour of the day.
Get exceptional winning strategies from our technical analysts as well as expert views coming in from the market makers. Catch Markets at Noon every trading day only on ET Now.
Rakesh Junwala wants to go easy on trading. He does not want to trade as aggressively as he did, let's say, couple of years ago.
I have felt that for the last 25 years. कि क्या करो अभी छोड़ दो ट्रेडिंग में वो छुट्टी.
Once a trader, always a trader.
Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now, and we will continue taking your stock queries. A lot of them pouring in. So I request Kunal and Sharmila to keep your answer a tad bit short, and we'll try and take as many queries as possible in the last 15 minutes of the show. So let me get going with this one. And this query that I have is coming in from Lalita Kumari and wants to know about Sanofi India. Has already invested at a price of around 6,200 rupees with a perspective of about 3 to 4 years. Should she stay invested in this one? What's your take on this, Sharmila? Sanofi India makes sense to stay put?
Absolutely, and they do give very dividend as well. Possibly explains the prices at now, but yes, I think from you can continue to stay. Yes.
Right. Vivek is writing to us from Delhi. My apologies. Jay Kishore is writing to us from Gwalior. Bought 500 shares of LIC at 800. Heavy losses. Please guide. Sharmila?
Well, I think you sold because I do see the stock price of closer to 700 on the stock. So yes, I think for the bit you can continue to hold.
Shankar is writing to us, Kunal. He wants to know a good entry point for L&T Tech.
So I think current levels could be a good enough point to buy L&T Tech. I think at 3,500, 540. It's also just marginally below its 50-day moving average. So could be a good point to buy the stock.
Right. Karan is writing to us from Gurgaon. He's asking you, Kunal, specifically when it's time to enter these two pharma stocks, which is Piramal Pharma and SPARC.
See, Piramal Pharma I can't be able to comment because of the very recent price history. But for the other name which you mentioned, Spark or Sun Pharma Advanced Research, I think that stock has just broken out of its 200 DMA. I think last week, I think on Thursday or Friday, breaking past about the levels of 245.50 for Sun Pharma. So I think that would be a much better buy from current levels if you're betting on the mid-cap names or the mid-cap pharma stocks as such.
Okay, Indumati wants to know about ACE and JSW Energy, Kunal. At current levels for a positional trade, does it make sense to invest in this? Either of one of them or both look good is what Indu is asking.
For JSW Energy and
ACE.
I believe both the charts are very, very attractive. Now, both these stocks have a odd tendency of being a bit more high beta in nature. So if you are willing to take some risks, then I would suggest allocating 50% of your capital each on on both of these stocks, JSW Energy and ACE. Both these stocks are showing very similar kind of chart patterns, a bullish rally and then a consolidation. So in effect, it's a bullish flag formation for both of these names with a potential of at least 10 to 15% of an upside.
Right, Kunal, this one's for you. Ravi Teja is writing to us from Hyderabad. He's asking, what is the target he should enter HDFC in the next 3 months?
So it's going to be tough because I believe HDFC and HDFC Bank both have to do a lot of hard work in terms of covering up the underperformance. My first breakout point for HDFC Limited would be just about that 2,500 mark. I think 2,495 approximately was the previous major high for HDFC Limited. So if that level is crossed, is where we can expect a big breakout. So keep your targets very short-lived as of now. 2,500 approximately could be the first target for HDFC Limited.
Okay, Sagar wants a technical view on IEX. He's already holding massive short positions from 175 to 180 rupees per share levels. Kunal, he's saying that he's seeing a divergence also in the intensity. Also, the intensity is getting slower now, is what he's saying. So, should he book out profits or still steam is left?
See, I think you can start booking out profits from current levels for IEX on your short positions. I've been advocating over the last, I think, many months on the show as well that IEX could be a stock which can drag down to 125 odd levels. That's where I believe could be a good point where you can see a lot of demand coming back into the stock. So I think 125 could be the lowest target which I would expect on IEX on the downside. So you can start booking at current levels.
Okay, Soumitra wants a view on Fine Organics. Sharmila is holding significant quantity at a price of around 2,000 rupees per share. He wants to know what's led to the downfall in the counter and are the fundamentals still intact?
So I'm sorry, but this stock.
You don't track the stock is what you said?
Yes, yes.
All right. Kunal, do you have any view on the technical front for Fine Organics then?
See, the recent sell-off has been very, very sharp and swift from 7,200 levels. It's fallen towards 5,700 in just a matter of some 7-8 trading sessions. So I would, expect more correction to come back into the stock. I would suggest to stay over.
All right, with that, let's kickstart with the rapid fire then. And let me take the first one. This is coming from Harish. He's writing to us from Bangalore, holding TTK Prestige at 1,050 rupees per share. Can he expect profits in the next 6 months, Kunal?
I would suggest to hold on to the stock and possibly look to average just around that 900 mark.
Kunal Abhimanyu is writing to us from Delhi. 250 shares of Adani Port at 711. Please advise, should he book profits or hold?
I think you can continue to hold on.
Okay, Sneha, she is from Kolkata, is asking about Granules India. How does this counter look? Fundamentally, Sharmila, do you think it's worth looking at Granules?
Oh, yes, I think.
Right, Karan's writing to us from Delhi. Sharmila, this one's for you. He's asking for a fresh investment view among IRB Infra and Delta Corp.
I was for Delta Corp.
He's writing to us from Singapore. He wants a view on Narayana Healthcare. 2,000 shares he's holding of this particular counter. He's not mentioned the buy price, but do you think it's worth staying put with this one, Sharmila?
Oh yes, I think he can continue to go.
Right, Kunal Vishwanathan Nair is writing to us from Kuala Lumpur. 100 shares of Delivery at 381. What is your outlook on this counter?
See, I believe the recent sell-off has been very sharp and swift. I would suggest to just hold on as of now, but then not to add.
All right, this one is from Kumar Reddy, writing to us from Hyderabad, holding 300 shares each of Laurus Labs and also Zydus Life. He's saying that he's holding, it's actually has loss of about 25%. Should he continue to stay put with this one for the next 1 year, Kunal?
I would suggest yes, and if possible for Zydus Life, you can look to even average just around that 420 odd mark if the stock corrects to those levels.
Right, Rajesh is writing to us from Gandhinagar. He's asking for your view on HDFC Life. Kunal?
I would suggest to hold on to HDFC Life. I think the stock has already gone through a big time-wise correction.
Okay, Rajesh is asking on HDFC AMC, Kunal, buy price 2,650, 60 shares. What should he do in the short to medium term? Does it look good?
it looks good, and I think you can keep an averaging point of just about the 2000 mark for HDFC AMC as a good averaging opportunity.
Right, Sharmila, RK Ahuja, long-term investor, asking for your advice to buy into Sumitomo Chemicals.
Yes, I think he can
Alright, with that we come to the end of the rapid fire as well as on Buy Now Sell Now. Thank you so much Kunal as well as Sharmila for joining us on the show, extending your time as well and giving your views on PSU banks. But on that note, viewers, we are totally out of time, and if you've not taken your queries, don't be disheartened. We just started the week, so we will be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. But for now, it's a goodbye from Adiraj, myself and the team that put the show together.
आग को फैलने से रोकना मुश्किल है।
Rakesh Jhunjhunwala is a very quick decision maker. Some of our common friends tell me that you take a decision to invest millions in 10 minutes. You don't take hours, you take minutes. How does it work?
You got to catch the vital points. And second thing, remember I don't want analysis paralysis. You're investing in a future which is uncertain. You cannot predict it beyond a point.
In individual sectors.
What's the sense that you're getting on volume growth? Just clarify this entire case. What is it going to mean for the business? What else are you looking at?
This is clearly one of the biggest deals.
Here, ET now have been getting you bit by bit.
The voice that instills trust.
My experience, based on what I've done in the last 20 years, these are the times where you don't panic, and if you stay committed to your financial planning, you will be rewarded. The bulls are saying, look, this is markets which are telling you that the future will be much brighter than what the past was.
The voice that commands respect.
You should remember that every bull market is higher than the last one.
The voice that is always ahead of the curve.
Maybe later this summer, I'll buy more gold and silver.
Domestic is already at 60% capacity and going towards 80%, but we need more growth in international.
The voice that does not falter.
How do you convert this crisis into an opportunity? We will become stronger. We will survive this storm. With each passing day, this market is only telling you that if you've participated on every decline, you've actually made money.
Catch India's most experienced market anchor, Nikunj Dalmia, only on ET Now.
The rupee depreciation is only helping.
Strong start to the week as risk-on rally returns. Nifty marches towards 18,000 level, largely led by autos and IT. Broader markets outperform. Maruti Suzuki is in a fast lane after strong margin expansion in the second quarter. Brokerages gives a thumbs up, raised targets close to 12,000. Bandhan Bank slumps after weak margin decline. Management hopeful of improving asset quality. A lot of numbers come out today. Watch out for Bharti Airtel. Higher ARPUs is likely the buzzword. L&T order inflow likely to remain robust. Tata Steel, higher raw material prices likely to hurt the margins. Auto sales will come out pretty soon. Tomorrow is when you will get the auto sales, the first reaction of what's really happening in the festive season, and that's something which the street would watch out for. Whether it's Maruti, Tata Motors, any other company, it'll be the first blink of what's happening with the festive season. It's raining IPOs in the primary market this week. 4 companies set to hit the street. DCX System, Fusion Microfinance, Bikaji Foods, Medanta looking to raise close to 4,500 crores. Several people still missing in the Gujarat bridge tragedy that left more than 130 dead. NDRF suspects some may still be trapped under the roof of the bridge that collapsed last evening. PM Modi, Home Minister Amit Shah pay their condolences. Hello and welcome to Markets at Noon. 202 points higher for the Nifty, looking in exceptionally strong, and broadly the word is coming in as far as the global markets are concerned, and that's the reason probably for markets to do well at this point of time. That's something which the street is penciling in. That's something which the street is actually looking in forward to. In terms of results reaction, Dr. Reddy is reacting to numbers. Various other companies, Maruti second day into numbers, Bandhan Bank reacting to a shocker set of numbers, and various other mid-cap, large-cap names also reacting to their numbers. So that's broadly, what one can see on those lines. Let's go across now to Nuresh. She's with us. Nuresh, what's your perspective on the markets? Where do you see Nifty heading?
So we saw Reliance Industries take up lead on Friday, and today we are seeing the HDFC Twins take up some momentum. Both are up more than 1%. So if this continues, we can dash towards that 18,100 mark, which was the previous high. And then we see if we can sustain about 18,100, that would be a clear indication of a stronger momentum. The trend remains positive. The bias remains positive across the board. So overall, the view is positive, but watching out for mid caps, small caps also to take a similar catch up like what is happening with the heavyweights.
Top ideas then.
So first is a buy on L&T. The stock is about to break out of a multi-month cup and handle formation. Also, there's a lot of catch up to be done with the rest of the capital goods space. A stop loss at 1950 and a target price of 2200 in the short to medium term. Second is a buy on Aditya Birla Fashion Retail, a new fresh 52-week high, good enough consolidation done. A stop loss at 339 and a target price of 380 in the short term.
All right, so those are the picks coming in from Nuresh this afternoon for all of our viewers. It's a buy on L&T as well as ABFRL, his all-time favorite. So thank you so much, Nuresh, for joining us on the show, giving us your take on the markets and also sharing your pick with our viewers. But there have been some major changes in the stance the brokerages have on many of the stocks over the last 1 month. My colleague Somit is here to give us an overview of which are these changes and what they look like right now. Somit?
Well, yes, we have taken the top 100 companies, and what we have checked here is what have been the big changes in the target prices and buy and sell rating, and we have compared it with the 30th September ratings and target price and the current rating. So what we are seeing here is that there have been additional buys that have come in for HCL Tech, nearly 5 additional buys as compared to 30th September. For Infosys, 3 more buys. ICICI Bank, Axis Bank and Nestle are seeing 2 more buys.